Ranch of Rivershine is, in my opinion, one of the best horse games on the marketplace right now, if not the best cozy horse game. Caring for, training, competing, breeding, and selling horses is what I'd say the main gameplay loop is focused around. However, there are plenty of other features that make the game that much more enjoyable. I've played through 2 full saves at this point and would say I'm pretty familiar with the game. However, any Rivershine player can tell you that money is the most limiting factor in growth and progression in this game. Not enough money? Can't buy better stat horses. Not enough money? Can't upgrade your barn to get more horses. Not enough money? Can't build the corrals to catch wild horses. And worst of all, without money, you can't acquire enough clothes and tack to make cute outfits. Having said that, Ranch of Rivershine gives the player multiple different ways to earn money, selling produce and resources, completing quests with NPCs, selling horses, even certain horses will randomly just give you money. However, it's safe to say that most of the game's story and monetary income revolves around one feature: competitions. Each race will earn the player anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand. Each horse usually has enough energy to run 2 to 3 competitions in a day, meaning the more times you run and more horses you compete with, the more you earn. It's a struggle even with this feature at play, but what if there was no competing in Ranch of Rivershine? How much more difficult would that make the game? I decided I wanted to answer this question. Rivershine has this fun feature where you can set the game's mode to story mode. This basically skips any quests that require you to win competitions, meaning we don't have to compete. However, these quests upon completion give you money, so I'm gonna need to set up a few rules for this challenge to work. Rule number 1, any money earned from the competition quests needs to immediately be spent on useless things that are not beneficial to the gameplay. The item I personally chose to spend all my money on is carrots. This is because they're the one tree item I will never feed my horses. Rule number 2, in the beginning of the game, I cannot make use of a pet. Pets are not only cute companions, but they serve the beneficial purpose of collecting items on the trail for the player. Most of these items you can resell for a profit. I personally think to up the difficulty, it makes sense not to allow pets till later in the game. Specifically, I want to wait until I have the pet in the first house upgrade, the rabbit, in honor of Louis. And rule number 3, selling horses, resources, crafted remedies, and completing quests are all fair ways to earn money in this save. Completing quests isn't any quest that isn't a competition quest. With these rules outlined, it's finally time to start the challenge. I'll be honest, now having the benefit of retrospective, going into this challenge I wasn't 100% sure what the rules would be, but I assure you, all of these rules have been followed even before I'd fully figured out what I wanted the rules to be. And so we begin. I've never dyed my hair. Okay, honestly, the idea of having pink hair in real life sounds very fun, but I'm too scared to do it. Day 1 started as most day 1s in a cozy game do. I went to create my character and really weighed my options in terms of how different I wanted this character to be. Normally, whenever I start a new save on any game that I've played before, I try to go for a look that isn't as typical as my previous looks, so I opted to go for pink hair. Not something I do often, but it's something that I did. Since I know this story and I've played it before, I desperately tried to click through the story a little bit faster, but I got a little bit stuck, so I didn't really skip through it as fast as I would have liked. And I'm guessing he does. What even am I? I'm sorry, this is so scary. Why do I look like this? Upon entering the game, I contemplated why I made the choice to have pink hair. I also contemplated my character looking like she had a kind of bad spray tan. After contemplating my life choices, I proceeded to talk to Madeleine and speedran the dialogue because, listen, this ain't my first circus, guys. I've played this game a couple times, and I eagerly ran to the auction house to see which horses we had available to us. I looked at this one, this one, this one, that one, and I actually hesitated for quite a long time on this one right here. After a couple of horses went through, I decided that this one had caught my eye and I ended up bidding on him. He was quite expensive, and honestly I was kind of disheartened that I'd spent almost half of my initial money already on one horse, but I was confident that I could recover from this bad financial choice. After spending a bit of time completing the initial lesson quest with River, I proceeded to leave the arena and go explore the town with my new horse, Flashy Bon Joe. I did eventually give this horse an actual name, don't worry. Flashy Bon Joe. We have to make a new name for our horse because Bro has the dumbest name I think I've ever heard. What is a banjo? I know what a banjo is, but a banjo? After happily accepting George's care package, I went home and took care of our new equine friend, and then I went to bed for the night, and that was the conclusion of day 1. Like, we can still sell stuff we forage for, but we need to do it ourselves. Like, the pet makes it so easy, I'm gonna be honest. Day 2, I woke up and immediately took care of Bonjo and got him ready for the day. I went over to town and meant to go straight to a quest, but ended up getting sidetracked by this straw and apple I saw lying on the ground. I then proceeded to head over to River and purchase some training courses. That way we can train the horses on jumps back at home in our arena. I got sidetracked once again while heading over to Madeleine and picked up some more straw. I then headed over to Madeleine for our first competition reward. Except the thing is, I'm not allowed to earn any money from the competition rewards. So... 25? Okay, that's about... There we go. $2,500 for 36 carrots. Chat, y'all ever go to the grocery store and spend $2,500 on carrots? Let me know. After buying $2,500 worth of carrots, I decided to head over to the auction house to purchase our second horse. This way we could train 2 horses at once and hopefully make a little bit more money faster. What do y'all think? Or what do you guys think about horses? I thought you guys slightly different. I don't know. Sorry, Stu, but we got horses that look slightly different, so we're actually like, I know. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm sure it's completely fine. After looking at a couple other horses, I decided to go with this mare right here named Giant Song. You'll notice pretty quickly I don't end up changing a lot of my horses' names in this save, so we're just gonna run with the name Giant Song. After purchasing our new horse, I spent some time looking for the exclusive tack chests on the map, hoping I could get some new equipment to give our new horse a different tack setup. Luckily, I did manage to find a couple. I couldn't come up with anything too different, but this is what I ultimately came up with, and I spent the rest of the day training Giant Song. I got done training kinda late into the evening, and I went to bed immediately afterwards. This concludes day 2. Saddlery yet? So all kinds of... Sorry buddy, I broke into your house, so I actually can't see any of the stuff you're talking to me about. On day 3, I got a couple of different quests with some different NPCs. I went over to the barn and took care of the horses, and I even gave a new name to Bonjo. We decided to name him Eclipse. I got right to work picking up random items I found on the ground, and I talked to the NPCs to complete all of the quests I had with them. After that, I continued to run around like a little rat and pick up any item I could get my grubby little hands on. After foraging for a while, I went home and spent a good chunk of time training Eclipse and Giant Song. Unfortunately, in this training session, I maxed all of Eclipse's stats, which meant that it was time for Eclipse to move on to a new home. Never in my entire time of playing Ranch of Rivershine in any save have I ever sold my very first horse. It was kind of a bittersweet moment for me, honestly, but I know that this is what was going to happen eventually due to the nature of this challenge, and I know there will be other horses we'll keep later on in the save, so I'm okay with this. Hi, Editor Macachin here. I just want a word. I put about 3 days worth of training on this horse in-game, which might not seem like a lot of time, but every day I'm probably spending about 5 to 6, 7 minutes just going in the arena and doing stuff with it. I made $1,200 profit. That was it. That's like $400 a day. Oh my god. I wasted no time at all and proceeded to look for another horse to bring in to the barn for training. There were a couple decent options, but I ultimately decided on this mare named Muddy Harvest. I honestly think part of the reason I decided not to name most of my horses after buying them is because I realized that it's way easier to get attached to horses when you give them unique names. So I'm gonna use these auto-generated names to my advantage for the most part. I went home and tried to give our new mare a cute outfit, but unfortunately I realized pretty quick it's kind of hard to make a unique outfit when you literally are just recycling the same 3 or so items in the same outfit every time, but I was really trying my best. I tried riding around with no tack on, but well, let's just say my character looked like she was floating. And that concluded day 3.
I don't really like how you can, like, perfectly see the characters but looking from the back. It's kind of scary.
I started the day similarly to how I began the previous ones, just looking through the quests and taking care of my horses. I started the day on Muddy Harvest once again with no tack, but later in the day I would change my mind and finally give this mare an outfit. Similarly to previous days, I spent a lot of time foraging. One good thing that did happen today is I finally unlocked my first area on the map, Lupine Meadow.
Okay, so I think she gave us some money. She did, $1,200, but she gave us that money so we could upgrade to a new area, which is really important.
I foraged some more and spoke to Jai about purchasing the trail, and it was very affordable. I also met Amelia the veterinarian on this day. I went home and got a tack set up for Muddy Harvest and proceeded to spend a good rest of the day working on training her up in all of her stats. I renamed Giant Song to Little Lady and decided to take her out on the trail at Lupine Meadow just to do some exploring and also look for some of the tack chests that were there.
Sorry, this is a very annoying camera angle, I know. Here it is! I see it! My sweet little prize.
After doing a little bit more treasure hunting, I decided to go home because Lady was all out of energy and I just didn't think there was a reason to keep looking. And this is where I decided to end day 4. Not the most interesting day, but hey, some progress was made and that's what matters.
Okay. Hey, girl. She is so sick of me. Do you hate me? Look me in the eyes and tell me.
Day 5 was our first rainy day on the ranch. I actually really like when it rains. I don't know what it is. The weather's great. Same old start to the day, just taking care of horses and reading through the quests. However, instead of immediately going to town, I spent the morning training Lady a bit more. And during this training session, I did nearly max her stats. I also then hopped on Muddy Harvest and went to my garden plots behind my house to plant some. Today I got the quest with Amelia where she gives you a whole entire dog. Although I am happy to have other companions on the ranch, I can't use the dog as part of the challenge. There was another competition quest reward that I had to claim with Madeleine, and then I proceeded to go over to George and buy another $2,500 worth of carrots. Guys, I think I might be the one keeping this man in business, to be honest. I foraged some more today, and I realized that it was time to sell our precious little lady. I was sad to see her go, but I'm getting pretty used to and accepting the fact that this is what most of the gameplay is going to be like at this point. We bought Lady for $3,900 when we first saw her in the auction house, and we sold her for nearly $6,500 today, which I think puts us at around $2,500 total. And I used that money to immediately turn around and buy our next project, and the horse I chose was this stallion named Atlas. He was popular, meaning he'd sell for more in the auction house, and he also was a light eater, meaning that I wouldn't have to feed him so much. I went home and got him cleaned up and ready for our first ride. And our first ride consisted of the Ride of Shame back to the auction house, where I sold Muddy Harvest. We bought Muddy Harvest for $3,200 and sold her for just under $5,000, which I didn't think was the worst, but it definitely could have been a little bit better. I spent the rest of the day looking for tack chests in Lupine Meadow. I just really wanted some new tack items. Unfortunately, my live stream would crash after this footage, so I don't have footage of the ending of the day, but that's how I ended day 5.
Sorry. TikTok audio in my brain.
Another day in Ranch of Rivershine. I woke up on day 6 and I decided to go to the barn, take care of Atlas, and head right over to the auction house so I could pick up a new horse.
I'm gonna press the pass button 3 times, and whatever horse we end up on, so this one doesn't count, but we'll press the pass button 3 times. So 1 is really cute. 2. That's kind of funny, honestly. Waking up to Macachin live stream suddenly working again. Alright, guys. This is our third click. It's a black bay. We haven't gotten a black bay yet, and honestly her stats are pretty okay. And she's also kind of expensive. I ended up bidding on Clover and winning the auction, and I proceeded to head over to Lupine Meadow so I could begin my day of foraging and training all in one. I went home to get Clover ready for her first ride, and I got a little bit distracted, let's just say. Louis sighting, speak of the devil. Not a good medicine for headaches. Oh, he's stretching his booty out. Louis, that's disgusting. Guys, he's giving you a real good angle. Louis. Louis! Oh my god, I love him. Oh, sorry guys. I went back to Lupine Meadow on our new horse Clover and ended up finishing a quest with Aisha. She gave me some seeds so I had future crops to grow. After a bountiful foraging session and finding a couple of the other treasure chests, I ended up going back home, and that is where I ended day 6. Day 7 started how most days do, however, I did quickly realize that it was a festival day. The festival has exclusive tack and horses for sale, which is very intriguing to me because obviously we've had a lot of the same lately. I'm definitely gonna buy this purple saddle pad. Maybe even the flower crown. I resisted the immediate urge to just buy everything and instead went to talk to Madeleine first. After talking to her, I made a lot of questionable financial choices. I decided I wanted to buy a melee horse, so I went home, hopped on Clover, and ran over to the auction house so I could sell Atlas to make space in my barn. I don't think we'll sell Clover today, actually. We'll buy a new horse, though, because we can. At this point, I'm extremely used to selling our horses kind of quickly, so I wasn't sad about seeing him go. I did, however, feel very pleased seeing how much we made off of him, basically, from buying price to selling price. $2,700. Hey, for only owning a horse 2 to 3 days, that's really not that bad. I was very excited to finally buy a horse that wasn't just a plain color. These horses had mealy markings, which was exciting because I hadn't yet had a horse with any other markings other than, you know, leg and face markings. So I was quite excited. I ended up purchasing Clear Ocean, who throughout the rest of the save I'll call Ocean. I foraged and trained. And after that I made a outfit for Ocean and got started with training, although I was kind of training and also foraging at the same time. You know, it's helpful if you multitask in this game. I ended the 7th day of spring year 1 by checking on my pear tree that I had planted, and I proceeded to go to bed.